In this video lecture, I will explain about the regulation of the cardiac output. In the previous lectures, you have learned about the general definition, measurement of the cardiac output, as well as various factors affecting cardiac output. Now, in this lecture, we will utilize information from all this lecture and I will explain the regulation of the cardiac output. Now, the heart, it is controlled by two type of the mechanism. One is the intrinsic mechanism and the extrinsic mechanism. Intrinsic mechanisms, these are the mechanisms operated by the myocyte as well as the factor inside the heart itself. And the extrinsic mechanisms, these are the mechanism outside the heart or the innervations that can change the cardiac output. So there are the two type of the mechanisms are there, intrinsic mechanism and the extrinsic mechanism. Now, as you all know, cardiac output is the product of stroke volume and the heart rate. Now, heart rate, it is mainly modified by the neural regulation. If you remember the factors affecting heart rate, these are the autonomic nervous system and its effect. So heart rate, it is mainly affected by the neural regulation. So that is the extrinsic mechanism. So extrinsic mechanisms, they mainly regulate or affect the heart rate by the innervation to the heart. Also various neurohumoral influences, they can also change the heart rate as well as the myocyte response. So always remember that the heart rate, it can be regulated by extrinsic mechanism. Now the intrinsic mechanisms. So stroke volume, it is mainly regulated by intrinsic mechanism. Now if you remember from the previous lecture, stroke volume, it is mainly affected by preload, afterload and the myocardial contractility. So remember that in the regulation of the cardiac output, it is by two type, intrinsic mechanism as well as the extrinsic mechanism. Extrinsic mechanisms, they regulate heart rate and intrinsic mechanisms, they regulate stroke volume. First of all, the intrinsic auto-regulation. Now, intrinsic mechanisms, they affect stroke volume or they regulate stroke volume. Now, if you remember factors affecting stroke volume, then they are preload, afterload, and the myocardial contractility. Now, first of all, the preload. Preload, it affects the cardiac output by the Frank-Starling mechanism because preload, it increases the initial length of the myocyte. So this mechanism, it is also known as heterometric regulation because initial length of the myocyte changes depending on the preload. Whenever preload is more, it increases the initial length and the force of contraction of the heart. Other two factors, afterload and the myocardial contractility, they do not change the initial length of the myocyte. So this mechanism is also known as homometric regulation and it is also known as rate induced regulation. Let's understand about the Frank-Starling mechanism. So the German physiologist Otto Frank and the English physiologist Ernest Starling independently describe the effect of preload on the myocardial performance, and this law is therefore known as Frank-Starling's law. Now they have observed that the increased ventricular volume, it increases ventricular contraction. Here the ventricular volume is the end diastolic volume. It is because of the preload and it increases the ventricular contraction. So stroke volume increases. So whenever end diastolic volume is more, it increases the stroke volume and decrease in the end diastolic volume, it decreases stroke volume. Now this effect or the Frank-Starling mechanism, it can be demonstrated even in the denervated heart. Denervated heart means even if we remove all the innervation to the heart, sympathetic innervation or the parasympathetic innervation to the heart, they are removed. Even after that, Frank-Starling mechanism it is present in the heart. Now the regulation by the change in the preload, it is purely an intrinsic mechanism. So it depends on the initial length of the myocyte. Such type of the regulation of the cardiac output by change in the ventricular muscle length at the various ventricular volume is known as heterometric autoregulation of the heart, because whenever preload increases, it increases the end diastolic volume, and increase in the end diastolic volume, it stretches the ventricular muscle. Stretching of the ventricular muscle, it increases initial length. So at the different end diastolic volume, it changes the initial length of the ventricular muscle and the force of contraction of the heart. So this mechanism, it is also known as heterometric autoregulation of the heart. Clinical significance of Frank-Starling mechanism. Frank-Starling mechanism, it is helpful for keeping the output of two ventricles equal. So let's learn it by the example. So if the stroke volume of the left ventricle it increases momentarily, then this increase in the stroke volume of the left ventricle it increases the venous return to the right atrium and the right ventricle. Now this increase in the venous return to the right ventricle, it is the end diastolic volume. This increase in the end diastolic volume, it stretches the myocyte in the right ventricle and it increases the cardiac output of the right ventricle also. So in this manner, Frank-Starling mechanism, it regulates the cardiac output of both the ventricles and they are equally maintained. So the intrinsic mechanism, it works constantly and increases cardiac output with increase in the venous return. Frank-Starling mechanism, it is also helpful in the maintenance of the constant stroke volume when the peripheral resistance is increased. So whenever peripheral resistance is increased, either because of the vasoconstriction or increase in the viscosity, it increases the afterload, and whenever afterload increases, it decreases the cardiac output because they are inversely related. So whenever peripheral resistance is increased, it decreases the cardiac output, and because of the decrease in the cardiac output, it increases the end systolic volume because less amount of the blood it is ejected per beat. So the amount which is remaining after the systole inside the ventricle increases. So end systolic volume increases. Again, because of the venous return, the end diastolic volume it increases. So with the increase in the end diastolic volume, it stretches the ventricular muscle, which increases the cardiac output because of the Frank-Starling mechanism. So in this manner, constant stroke volume it is maintained whenever peripheral resistance is altered. Frank-Starling mechanism it is also helpful as a life-saving mechanism in the cardiac failure also. Now cardiac failure is the failure of the heart to pump enough amount of the blood to the vital organs as well as to other body tissues. Now because of the decrease in the cardiac output, end systolic volume increases, and because of the increase in the end systolic volume, again venous return further adds to this end systolic volume and end diastolic volume increases. Increase in the end diastolic volume, it produces stretch on the ventricular muscle and it increases initial length of the ventricular muscle fibers. So according to the Frank-Starling mechanism, this increase in the initial length of the ventricular muscle increases force of contraction of myocyte and it increases stroke volume and the cardiac output. Now, Frank-Starling mechanism in the patient with the cardiac failure, it increases cardiac output within the physiological limit. So whenever excessive volume overload or excessive pressure overload occurs, then Frank-Starling mechanism it fails to maintain enough cardiac output. So always remember that Frank-Starling mechanism it is a life-saving mechanism in the patients with a cardiac failure. After the Frank-Starling mechanism, the next regulation of the stroke volume is the rate-induced regulation. Now this rate-induced regulation, it is also known as homometric regulation. Homometric regulation, it is termed because in this type of the regulation, initial length of the myocyte, it remains same. Rate-induced regulation, it mainly affects myocardial contractility. And myocardial contractility, it is affected because of the change in the intracellular calcium. Now the intracellular calcium concentration, it increases because of either increase in the number of the depolarization per minute or increase in the inner calcium current per depolarization. So this rate induced regulation, it directly affects the myocardial contractility, which increases the number of the depolarization, it quickens the contraction of the myocyte, and it increases stroke work from available end diastolic volume. So cardiac output, it is regulated by intrinsic as well as the extrinsic mechanism. Intrinsic mechanism, it mainly regulates cardiac output by Frank-Starling mechanism and the rate induced regulation. Now the extrinsic regulation, it mainly affects heart rate. Here we can see cardiac output is equal to stroke volume multiplied with the heart rate. And the intrinsic mechanism, it mainly regulates stroke volume, and the extrinsic mechanism, it mainly affects heart rate. Now the heart rate, it is mainly under the control of the autonomic nervous system, sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic nervous system, in which parasympathetic nervous system or the vagal tone, it predominates in the control of the heart rate. Sympathetic influence, it increases heart rate and the myocardial contractility. It increases availability of the cyclic AMP and the intracellular calcium in the myocyte, which increases the myocardial contractility. Sympathetic stimulation also causes venoconstriction, and venoconstriction, it increases venous return. Parasympathetic influence, it mainly hyperpolarizes SA node, so it decreases heart rate, and ventricular contractility, it is indirectly decreased because of the parasympathetic stimulation of the SA node, AV node as well as the atrial musculature. So sympathetic influence, it increases heart rate, and the parasympathetic influence, it decreases heart rate. So heart rate, it is mainly regulated by the balance between the sympathetic as well as the parasympathetic activity. Now after learning about both the intrinsic as well as extrinsic regulation, now it is very important question how the intrinsic as well as the extrinsic mechanism, they control cardiac output in different situations. For example, during rest. During rest, an equilibrium, it is maintained between the extrinsic as well as the intrinsic mechanism, and cardiac output, it is regulated. Whenever exercise is performed, then tissue metabolism increases, which increases the need for the perfusion. So cardiac output need increases. Now in mild to moderate exercise, cardiac output increases mainly by the extrinsic mechanism or the neural influences. But in the severe exercise, along with the extrinsic mechanism, it increases venous return. And venous return, it increases end diastolic volume. So along with the extrinsic mechanism, intrinsic mechanism, it is also helpful to increase the cardiac output. Now in patient with a transplanted heart, so whenever heart is transplanted in a person, so this transplanted heart is denervated heart. So only intrinsic mechanism is the mechanism available to regulate the cardiac output in this type of the patients. So always remember that in the patient with a transplanted heart, intrinsic mechanism is only mechanism that can increase cardiac output. Now let's summarize. So the regulation of the cardiac output, it is of two types, intrinsic regulation and the extrinsic regulation. Now the intrinsic regulation, it can be further divided in two types depending on the initial length of the cardiac muscle fibers. In the heterometric regulation, the initial length of the cardiac myocyte, it changes, and it is mainly because of the change in the preload, and it increases cardiac output by the Frank-Starling mechanism. Whenever cardiac myocyte length it remains same, then this type of the regulation it is known as homometric regulation. And the homometric regulation it mainly affects the myocardial contractility as well as the effect of the afterload on the cardiac output. This is also known as end-rep effect. Extrinsic regulation it mainly affects heart rate, and heart rates they are under the control of the autonomic nervous system. Now at the end of the session, understand about the frequently asked question in your exam. So mainly it is asked in the long question as define cardiac output, how it is measured, and explain factors controlling cardiac output. It can be also asked as explain regulation and factors affecting cardiac output. So whenever you are explaining about the regulation of the cardiac output, you have to explain about the intrinsic as well as the extrinsic regulation of the cardiac output. And in the intrinsic regulation, you have to mention about the homometric as well as the heterometric regulation of the cardiac output. Then you can explain the factor affecting cardiac output like preload, afterload, and the myocardial contractility, and you can explain all the factors in the preload, afterload, and the myocardial contractility. Now it can be asked in one-liner question like Starling's law. It explains how congestive cardiac failure it is normally prevented, or it can be prevented within physiological limits. So you have to explain about the Starling's law and how it operates. And the Starling's law it increases force of contraction with the increase in the end diastolic volume. So at the end of this video lecture, you have learned about the cardiac output. In the next lecture, I will explain about the hemodynamics. Thank you.